morning. We are live from. Before we begin, I will go over the emergency response plan for this room. In an emergency, everyone must evacuate through the nearest safe exit. Those seated in the gallery take direction from security to evacuate. Council takes direction from myself. After evacuating the room, please proceed to a stairwell. Take the stairs to ground level and evacuate the building through the doors marked emergency exit and go to the muster point. Do not take an elevator or walk through the city room. Anyone with limited mobility should identify themselves to security or myself during an evacuation. Finally, please speak with security or myself if you require first aid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call the April 29th Audit Committee to order and start with a land acknowledgement. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and the Métis homeland, and acknowledge the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, as well as Métis and Inuit, and now settlers from around the world. I'll start with the roll call of committee members. Councillor Knack.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Principe.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Rutherford.
Morning.
Good morning. And our public member today, McDonald Matamambe.
Good morning.
Good morning. And if I could have somebody move adoption of the agenda, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I should also be checking for my council colleagues online as well, if there's anybody else. I'm not seeing any, but then I'm not looking at the list. There's none. Okay. They don't want to join us? Wow. Unfortunate. Thank you. Sorry, adoption of agenda.
I can move the adoption of the agenda with the following changes: the additions to items 9.1 and 9.2 and the replacement page for item 7.1.
Thank you. Any questions? Please vote.
Councillor Principe is a yes.
Thank you, Councillor Principe.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. And approval of the minutes.
And I'll move the approval of the minutes from the February 18th, 2025 Audit Committee meeting and the April 11th, 2025 Audit Committee non-regular meeting.
Thank you. Any changes, questions? Please vote.
Councillor Principe is a yes.
Thank you, Councillor Principe.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. I'm not aware of any protocol items. And next, I will take items for debate. Councillor Knack. McDonald, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll request item 9.1, 9.2, as well as item 7.1 and 7.2. Items 7.1 and 7.2.
Great, thank you very much. And Councillor Knack, did you have any others?
Yeah, I'm going to select 7.7, please.
All right, 7.7. Anybody else? All right, I think we'll go now to vote on items not selected for debate.
I'll move all remaining items.
Thank you. Any questions? No, we don't question that anyhow. Please vote.
Actually, we do. Sometimes we do speak just in case. I wouldn't mind just because sometimes.
Okay, go
yes.
for it.
Sorry, just very quickly. I know we don't always select. There are times where we don't select audits, and debated. I didn't have any questions. I thought the audits were great. I thought the administration response was really good. There didn't seem to be any major red flags, which is why I didn't feel the need to select it. But just note that I think even though we don't select an audit, doesn't mean that we don't care about those things. It's just actually usually, in my mind, more of a good news story when we don't feel we need to go through every single aspect of it, because we went through it, took the time. So thanks to all the folks from administration for the great work on that. Thanks to the auditor teams. And so that's just so everyone's like, why is nobody selecting these? Because I don't think there's any major issues from them, and the recommendations look to be well actioned and will be put in. So that's why I didn't want to select them, but I think we should at least say a few words. So thank you.
Thank you for letting them know that we still do care about them. Okay, thank you. So please vote.
Councillor Prince Hayes, yes.
Thank you, Councillor Principe. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried.
Would you like me to read out the items that were just
Please do
passed?
so.
Thank you. So this morning, Audit Committee has passed the recommendations in the following reports. Item 7.3, Affordable Housing Funding Decisions Audit. Item 7.4, Administrative Response on Affordable Housing Funding Decisions Audit. Item 7.5, Taxation Assessment and Collection System Governance Audit, and Item 7.6, Administration Response to Taxation Assessment and Collection System Governance Audit.
Thank you very much. So now we don't have any requests to speak. No specific times on agenda. Any councillor inquiries? No items to be dealt with at a different meeting or reschedule. No unfinished business, so we'll continue on now with our first public report, 7.1, 7.2, and I'll hand it over to our auditor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. And yes, I agree. Our feelings are not hurt when we're not selected. I do like to tell the team that means we wrote a good report and all the questions were answered. But right now, I'm presenting now our recommendation follow-up report as of April 10th, 2025. This report is prepared by Jeannie Kim and Leslie Glasbeek. Our data scientist, Alfred Apia and Jasmine Zip, maintain the Office of the City Auditor's recommendation dashboard. It includes the summary you see on the slide and information about overdue and closed recommendations. And there's a link to it on our website. We do refresh the dashboard weekly, and monthly we provide the link to the executive leadership team to keep them aware of the status of the recommendations. The recommendation follow-up process is essential for an effective audit process. It ensures council, administration, and the Office of the City Auditor know that prior recommendations and risks are being addressed. When we issued this report, we had 47 outstanding recommendations, with 12 of those overdue, and we'd closed 6 recommendations since the last audit committee meeting. And I'm happy to say we've actually closed 2 more of the overdue recommendations since we issued this report. So now there is 10. Those ones will be highlighted in our next follow-up report. And I can take any questions now.
Thank you very much, and it's such good news to hear that even more work is being done after the report has been completed for us. So do we have anyone with questions? McDonald, you selected this. Did you want to go ahead?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the City Auditor for the overview. You know, I would kindly ask for more color commentary from the City Auditor on exactly, you know, what is being done to resolve the long outstanding items, particularly when we look at the fact that as we move from a reporting period to reporting period, we seem not to have significant movement on these items. And I just want to understand, you know, how the City Auditor is taking proactive steps to ensure that the recommendations are addressed timely, and how, you know, accountability is being enforced.
Thank you for the question. So how we do that is our audit leads will be following up on a regular basis with the auditee on the status of the recommendations. We receive updates, provide input if required on where they're at and what's left to implement. I cannot direct city staff, so beyond that, it is outside of our control to sort of have those recommendations completed sooner. The priorities of the business areas are determined by the business areas, and they can determine the work. We do know in some cases there are just external factors that have affected when they can implement a recommendation. We're made aware of those, and at this point, I feel that that's reasonable and that everybody is working to implement the recommendations. And in some cases, they are taking longer, but we do our best to support the administration with it, but we cannot direct them.
And thank you for that response. I have a follow-up to that, just a general comment on, whether or not, the current frequency and depth of the follow-up reporting, according to the city auditor, is sufficient, at least to provide the audit committee assurance that, audit risks are being effectively managed, across, the city. Because yes, I do understand that the city auditor cannot direct management, but I really want to know what the city auditor is doing, because the reports are not just issued. Reports are issued and, discussed with management, and agreed corrective actions are arrived at. That's why they're called agreed corrective actions. So clearly there should be an effort or input from the city auditor's side to make sure that there is an in-depth, follow-up process that's, effectively dealing with these issues.
Yeah, so I meet with the city manager to discuss these. We do know these recommendations are discussed at ELT monthly as well. There are things that sometimes take precedent over getting the recommendations implemented, and I do think the reporting we provide to this committee also supports that accountability with administration as well. Just these questions and these discussions and the focus that this committee's put on recommendation follow-up has supported us as well, and administration, in working towards closing the recommendations. We did close, I believe, 34 recommendations last year, so we are closing recommendations. At this point, there's only 10 overdue recommendations, which is, I think, one of the smaller number of recommendations we've had overdue in quite a while. So there is definitely progress that's happening. Even on the slide there in 2025, I mean, there's only 3 months, but 80% of the recommendations have been closed sort of on time as well up to now. So I see progress, and we continue to work with administration and support them as much as we can.
Thank you for that. Just one more comment, because I want to also understand, whether in your assessment you believe that the audit committee is being provided assurance that the audit risks are being effectively managed.
So when those recommendations are closed, that's when we know those risks have been managed. We do know that work is taking place on these recommendations, so it's not as if nothing is happening. There are times we won't close a recommendation until everything has been done. But as you can see in the admin report, progress is happening, things are happening, and those are how they're addressing the risks and understanding the risks as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matamampe. I do just have some questions in regards to the safety code permits inspection, and I guess I would be directing that to administration, because in the report it talks, or their response talks about the constraints arising from a shortage of specialized expertise. So I'm just wondering what that expertise is and what are we doing to close that gap?
Not sure if there's anybody from admin here for that, but I do know a bit of the backstory on that. I can do my best here. It was data science expertise that was required, and there was a shortage there on a team member, and so they were able to fill that and then bring that new person up to speed on what had happened. And so it was a really specialized skill set that was required.
Okay, but so that gap has been filled?
Yes,
and
yeah,
so
we were
can-
just waiting for the construction season to complete so that we can actually see the actual progress of the new model and see it in action. So it's there, it's working. This is one of those things where we're not closing it until we see that it's being in place and being used through the construction season.
Okay, so it's not a matter of there's other financial resources required to hire this person?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. I think that was all I had on here. Yes, I did. Yeah, thank you. And seeing no other questions, or no one else signed up, would someone like to move the recommendation in the reports? Mr. Matamambe?
I do so move, Madam Chair, that the April 29, 2025 Office of the City Auditor Report, OCA 03023, be received for information. And I also believe for 7.2 that the April 29, 2025 Office of the City Manager Report, OCM 03008, be received for information as well.
Thank you. And would anybody like to speak? To close, Mr. Matamambe? Anything further?
And again, thank you to the City Auditor for the insights. You know, it is obviously an issue that we review and assess to ensure that all the agreed corrective actions are being followed up timely. We keep bringing this up. At least I do when I sit in the meetings, because I do see that some of the recommendations are long outstanding. I do appreciate the work that's being done and the challenges that the City Auditor faces. And we hope that that level of effort continues so that we see some changes as we move from quarter to quarter. But thank you to the City Auditor and your team for ensuring that this is brought to our attention.
Thank you very much. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. Moving on now to item 7.7, Office of the City Clerk's Annual Report. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I am very excited to present to you our 2024 annual report for the Office of the City Auditor. The office has an important role in supporting good governance, accountability, and transparency in the City of Edmonton. We are independent of city administration, and we perform our work with objectivity and expertise needed to improve value for money, create positive change, and reduce risks to the city in achieving its goals. We bring a systematic, disciplined approach to enhance the city's governance, risk management, and internal controls. And we conduct our work in accordance with the global internal audit standards established by the Institute of Internal Auditors. This report highlights operating results and activities of the office in relation to our 6 strategic directions during 2024. Our first strategic direction is to provide quality audit advisory and investigative services. In 2024, we presented 8 performance audit reports to Audit Committee. We closed 34 audit recommendations. We received 82 hotline reports of alleged fraud or misconduct, and between the Office of the City Auditor and Administration, we completed 46 investigations. Our second strategic direction is to promote the value of the Office of the City Auditor, and the work that we do. And here we've achieved a target of obtaining 92% of overall auditee satisfaction. Our third strategic direction is to develop collaborative and positive relationships, and our staff are maintaining relationships with local, provincial, and national audit bodies. On the next slide. And our fourth strategic direction is around advanced analytics and innovation. And here we've incorporated advanced analytics into 67% of our audits. Our fifth strategic direction is around organizational effectiveness. And here we exceeded our target and utilized 74% of available audit staff time on projects. As well, our actual expenditures of $2.5 million were 18.1% below our budget, and this is mainly as a result of unfilled positions. And lastly, but definitely not least, we want to empower our employees. In 2024, we met our target of 5% of staff time spent on training and development and exceeded our target with a score of 89 out of 100 for employee engagement. I would like to thank the members of the Audit Committee and Council for their support and interest in our work, as well as administration for their support and cooperation. Without this support, we would not be effective in helping the city to achieve its goals. I also want to acknowledge and thank the staff of the office. They've all contributed to the results highlighted in this report, and many of them are here today. We filled the stands here today. The goals of our office are achieved because of their hard work, perseverance, and commitment to delivering high-quality, innovative, and cost-effective audit services. Their ability to adapt and rise to new challenges and complexities in our work is exceptional, and I'm extremely fortunate to work with this talented group of professionals. And now I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions, but thank you for getting this team together. I know it's been not a challenge, but it's it's probably been fun. And getting everyone together. Is this now your first full year as city auditor?
Yeah,
Yes,
in May.
yeah.
I was appointed last May, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking on the interim role and then pulling everybody together. So thank you to all the audit team. And Councillor Knack, you have some questions?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's exciting to see the whole team. Like, this is great. This is wonderful. Thanks for all being here. I'm sure they all watch online anyways when we're doing audit committee meeting, but and then they don't have to have a poker face in case we say something really silly. Like, did you read the report? Anyways, just want to say thank you for this. So I actually think the questions I was going to ask almost ties back to what Mr. Matabambe was asking about in the first report, which is just the percentage of recommendations that were implemented by the due date for 2024 and 2023. It was quite a bit lower. 2025 is looking good. So it's actually, I think my question is less for you as the auditor and more just, I'm going to look to, I think Ms. Padbury is our current acting city manager, and just wanting to get a sense from our city admin team as to, if there's any learnings from the previous 2 years where the results were maybe not quite as high as I think we would strive for, and just if there's anything on your mind that you would share, and how we make sure that we're not sort of hovering around that 50% mark, but the goal that we sort of have.
Yeah, at a high level, I would say a couple of things. I think sometimes we have a tendency to want to put an early due date on something to take action without always recognizing the significant cross-collaboration and the true requirements of what it would take to close that recommendation. So we're encouraging people as they're responding to audits to truly think about and spend some time on what does it look like to actually take the action. And I would say like the grants one in my department is a good example of that. We've done a lot of the work, but to actually close it, we think we should run the process. And so it took a little bit longer. I do think that we're mindful that these types of things make it into our priorities, our corporate business planning process, our personal contribution plans, so that everyone knows the importance. So we have many things on the go. There are a lot of priorities, but responding to these audit requirements are an important component of the work that we do every day. And so trying to embed it and infuse it into those processes to get people to take those focused efforts to close them as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Last question for you, I think, is just, so, because you're right, I think there's a tension when we see audit recommendations that are a year and a half or 2 years out, I start to get nervous because I'm like, oh, that feels like a long time. And then maybe I'll see if I can ask it in the form of a question. Is there a way then in the audits going forward, because there's always the admin response saying, yes, we've accepted the recommendation, the due date, but generally speaking, it feels like we get like a one paragraph, yes, we accept this, we're going to do it, but it maybe doesn't talk about why you've set the timeline that you have, and that might provide value, because I think there's always going to be tension from this committee of saying, we want it done as soon as possible. I really like your answer and understand why we would want to do that. I think if we can make sure that on future audits, if there's a way to try to capture, here's why we're saying a 2-year out timeline, because not only do we want to do whatever the work was, we want to spend a year actually testing it out and seeing if it works, or just something that gives us that data so that there's not that sort of tension on our end, and at the same time it just gives you a little more clarity around what you're hoping to do.
I think that's good feedback for us. I think we have those discussions, but you're right. We don't provide the logic for the selection of the due date often when we're writing our administrative responses, so I can take that back.
Awesome, thank you. Well, then that's it. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. Mr. Matamambe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the City Auditor, thank you for the, presentation of, your report, your annual report. Just reading your annual report, I wanted to understand from you what you perceive to be your key performance indicators and how you're faring against those.
Thank you. So the indicators we've included in this report are our key performance indicators that we set when we set our previous 4-year strategic plan. So that I believe they're all very important, and we are always working towards achieving all of these. But definitely the annual plan completion, achieving that 75%, and that's set that way because we always have carryover. But really that's an indication of the audits that we're able to complete, and I think that one's very important. Like I said, to me they're all very important. We've talked about the recommendation implementation. We're not effective until recommendations are implemented in the end, so that one is important, but again, not that much within our control. I would also say the auditee satisfaction and the staff satisfaction, those are also very important to me, as those relationships are really important to ensure we're effective as well. And I probably missed some, but they'll highlight those ones for you.
Yeah, all right. No, thank you for that. And, certainly they do give us an insight into, some of the activities you're undertaking. Just on the planned audits completed, I was not able to quite discern, how I can compare between prior years because I couldn't understand the number of audits as they move from year to year. Do you have some comments around that?
Yeah, so definitely depending on the number of audits included in each annual work plan, then that's how those percentages are calculated. So it has changed over these past 5 years, and that's as a result of our staffing levels. And so we are able to plan, if we know in advance around certain staffing changes throughout the years. For example, we have some parental leaves that are occurring, and we know early enough that we can plan, so we adjust the number of audits when we plan we do it based on the hours we have available and how long we think an audit will take. Sometimes we miss them because the audits take longer than we thought and other things happen, but in general, that's how they're compared. Like that sort of denominator will change each year.
Okay. Yeah, and maybe as a request for future reports, the recommendation would be, for the number of audits to be included as well for comparative purposes.
Sure.
And maybe your head count to just try and demonstrate, the overall performance assessment, of your audit team.
Yeah, thank you for that. We can do that.
Okay. I have no further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Seeing nobody else on the board, anyone to speak?
I'll move it first.
I'm sorry, that would be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely happy to do that. I will move the recommendation that we receive for information.
Now would anybody like to speak? All right, Councillor Knack.
Yeah, just very quickly, I know I sort of did at the beginning, but since we don't get the luxury of having all of the team in person, I just want to thank all of the folks in person from the team who do the work each and every day. Having read through these audits, gone through this for many, many years, I know the amount of work that goes into it. I know the talent that y'all have, and this audit office continues to be, I think, regarded as, I would argue, at least the best in the country, if not the best in North America, and that's a testament both to the folks right here, but also all of you back there. So just want to make sure you all know how appreciated you are from the work that you do each and every day. It goes a long way, and I continue to hear from people in other parts of the country about how good our audit office is, why it's designed so well, how it's producing the results, why administration accepts all of the recommendations that are made, and again, that wouldn't happen without the work that you're all doing each and every day. So just because we don't have the luxury of having you in person, I know we always say thank you typically when we speak to some of these, but even if you're listening online, it means a lot to be able to actually just look at everyone and say thank you in person. So appreciate all your great work.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. And please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. All right. Let's see, moving on to private reports. Mr. Matamambe, I think you selected those two.
I'll move we go into private, subject to sections 16, 24, and 25 at least.
At least?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions? No, please vote.
We have all the votes. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. And we'll give you once Councillor Knack gets his jacket on. Okay.
We are live online.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Matamambe, did you want to put forward the recommendations in the report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do, recommend that the actions outlined in the attachments provided, by FCS report 03015 and FCS 0305, be approved.
I would suggest that we do 9.1 and 9.2 separately.
Okay, so I'll just go for FC 03015, which is 9.1. Recommend that it be approved, and that, the FC 035 report remains private pursuant to Section 16, and 24, and 25, and other interests of public body, of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Thank you very much. Anyone to speak? No? Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. Moving on to item 9.2. Again, Mr. Matamambe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend, that request for item 9.2, basically external auditor non-audit request, be approved, which is FC 03045, and that the FCS report 0305 remain private pursuant to Section 16, 25, and of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Thank you very much. Anybody to speak? All right, please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. And that is carried. All right, so we finished off our items for the day. Any motions pending? Notice of motions, motions without customary notice?
Yes, sorry, I have a notice of motion.
Yes, Councillor Rutherford, go ahead, please.
Sorry, please just let me pull it up here. I am giving notice that, sorry, I'm trying to find it now. At the May 6th, 2025 Council Services Committee, I will make the following motion. That Council Services Committee recommend to City Council that an exemption to policy C618C be approved to allow the purchase of furniture for Ward and Ilnick to be funded using the common budget.
Thank you very much. Did you want to, no, you don't introduce that. You'll introduce that when you make that motion. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other motions? Notices? No? All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.